There's a war going on for your mind. We are the insurgents.
And we are back. And, I should have looked into this little annal here, because I was Googling it, and I didn't realize that the address of the actual club is in the annal we have here. It's 624 Taylor Street, San Francisco, California. It is kind of nested away, if you will. Very hard to see inside. The windows are tinted. Their doors are locked. There's somebody on service there. Perhaps you'll be able to see the giant owl that's inside. It's about an owl the size of me, a little taller perhaps. And I couldn't get in. One of the other producers here, Jason Douglas, knocked on the door, buzzed it, said that he was an architecture student and tried to get inside. No go there. We were able to tape the outside. And as I discuss this coming up in the next segment, for those who don't know, I'm going to be just playing the video, not the audio, because the audio is kind of garbagey anyway, of the outside of this club so you can get a better feel of what it looks like. Now, for those that don't know, the Bohemian Club was started in the 1800s in Sonoma, California, in these giant redwood forests. And this was the first time that I really got to take any time and go out through all these different forests. I was pretty shocked. I couldn't, I'd never been really next to a redwood or a series of redwoods. Now, I didn't get to stop in Sonoma County, but we were basically above that county when we interviewed Rosalind Peterson, and we went out to the wildlife, and we were shooting a lot of tree degradation. And it was pretty incredible, all the tree degradation that was around. Kind of another subject, but you could see these pine trees that should have been healthy. I mean, they lived right next to the water. They couldn't have not been getting enough nutrients, but they were really dead and dying. I mean, the tops were going. There was moss growing on them. We actually went out to a botanical garden there, and things were wilted and dying in the botanical garden where they're supposed to be taken care of by the staff. And Rosalind really just did a great thing. She's top notch. I'm going to be having her on the program for at least an hour next week to not only discuss that subject matter, the persistent jet contrails, or what a lot of people out there refer to as quote-unquote chemtrails, but also of this naval drill that's going to be starting in September, where they openly state that they're going to be killing about 17.5 million mammals in the ocean, which is incredible to me. But, she showed me the documents, and we have the documents, and she is really hell-bent on trying to prevent this from happening, and I completely and totally understand why. I got to say, there were not too many of these quote-unquote chemtrails out there while we shot, and Rosalind and another gentleman who worked for the, I want to say it was the Fish and Wildlife Department for over 35 years. I think he did it for 38 years. Really did joke that it seemed like they had stopped because the Bohemian Club was only a few miles down the road. I think it was something like 20 or 30 miles from where we actually were. Let me tell you, you can be buried in these redwood forests and not even see civilization. I was astounded when we went to one of the photographer/videographer's house that people were living on these mountains. While we were going after turn after turn after turn in these mountains where everything was kind of hidden away and you couldn't see anything, there was house after house after house. And of course, there were the areas where there was nobody. And you think to yourself, well, people can live here, they can live there. It seems like this overpopulation scam is just that. It's a scam. There's plenty of room for everybody. So coming up in the next segment, we're going to be showing you the Bohemian Club from outside. There's two main plaques. There's the plaque that everybody can see on Wikipedia above the actual main entrance. Then there's a plaque on the side. But then there's a couple other bizarre placards as well. And above that, I mean, it's kind of got this Greek motif, and there's this one guy that's sitting there like this, and on one side of him is a death skull, and the other side is the owl. And then they have this bar across the street called the Owl's Nest. Very spooky stuff. It's the Bohemian Club. I'm Jason Bermas. This is the InfoWarrior, weekly, 6 to 9 Central. Back after this.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Don't nobody know my trouble but God.
That's right. I'm wearing their logo right here. This is their big logo. If we can get a shot of that off this camera right here. They love this owl, and it's spooky. I mean, I wonder if this one right here, the shirt, if I could just get up for a second and you check it out in the back, it says San Francisco, and San Francisco is where the club is. I don't know if Mike Davis, the artist of this, is a member of the Bohemian Club, but they do enjoy recruiting artists and poets outside of the regular elite. And let's not forget Helmut Schmidt actually wrote in his autobiography that he enjoyed doing rituals at the Bohemian Grove much more than the ones in Germany. It was his favorite place to do these rituals. And Schmidt is unapologetic about it. In fact, Helmut Schmidt somewhere in this annal, and you look at these guys, and you can tell, you know, they're very lighthearted at points, okay? There's a lot of performance. They like music. You see them dressed up like mariachi band. They're not a mariachi band, okay? You see them doing the Oktoberfest thing, but then you see them doing the more obscure Christmas dinner, Guardians of the Portals. Take a look at that, folks. Oh, other camera, I'm sorry. Oh, we're going to do it like that? Okay. Guardians of the Portals right here. And you see them in red, white, and black outfits. And this is in the City Club. This is actually at the Bohemian Club, which we filmed. Let's bring up some of the footage of the club. We just play it in the background while I go through this. And what we're going to be showing you here is, this is the main plaque on the side of the building. Weaving spiders come not here. And this one was, I think, put up in 1872, the 1909 and the 1933 little placard right there. But what's interesting about that is that their logo, their Weaving Spiders Come Not Here, is basically saying, hey, what goes on here stays here. We don't talk about it in the public. This is a private organization. You don't dare do anything else. And we're going to keep this on the screen. And keep it going. I'm just going to rant and rave here while we do that, because I want people to see just what this looks like, and I'll comment on it if it gets a little bit different. But we were really just shooting a lot of B-roll and whatnot. Right here, you can see the culmination in the annal. If we want to just switch gears for a minute, Hoosh. Right here in the annal, you can see they shoot something down a wire. See, it's a wire. This is where they do their mock sacrifice right here. Now, everybody's dressed up in robes. This is an actual picture. Here's the aftermath of what happens with that wire. They shoot fire down the wire. All of a sudden, it goes up in flames. Care, dull care, which in my opinion is an effigy of a baby. A lot of people have said it's an effigy of an owl. No, the owl god is in the background. And death rose up in a boat. Let me repeat that. Death rose up in a boat and gives it to like this high priest. And all of a sudden, everybody cheers, and they kick off their little ceremony. What you're looking at now is another placard that is at the Grove Club, not at the actual Grove. I had no idea what this meant, folks. I've got to be 110% honest. I got in on the film. I filmed that there's actual names that are on the bottom of this plaque. There's obviously something at the top. I've got all the names out there. We're going to be putting this on the web so maybe people can interpret it for me, because I'm not an expert on everything. You know, I believe it says Brett Harris. I don't know who Brett Harris is, but it seems like they have businessmen and prospectors and all these different things. This here, really, and it's 1836, and I believe 1836 is when the club came to the United States. Now, this thing was about the least occultic thing that I saw at the club. Above this, it has much more Greek architecture. It has the little, I forget what it's called. Jones is always telling me what it's called, but it's this thing right here on my shirt that the owl is perched on. I think it's a fleur leaf or something like that, but it seems that they really like this as well. And I'm not 110% sure why, but the owl rests on this. Again, there's the owl, and there he is resting on this symbology. And that symbol is literally everywhere in San Francisco. You see it all over buildings. It's in a lot of older architecture. And it was very interesting to me. We actually went to the Hearst Castle beforehand. There's one of the owls that sits on the top of the club, and there's several of them. But it was very interesting to me that in their own Wikipedia page about the Bohemian Club, not the Grove, that, actually, that's the Owl Tree. I'm sorry. This bar is directly across from the club. And it's got all these owls on there. There's some tiled owls over to the side, but it's literally directly across the street. Now, why is this their logo? Well, from what I've been told, it's because it can see in the dark. It's always paying attention. People are not, opposed to the owl, and you see it almost everywhere. Wise chips. It seems to be quite the corporate logo. Right now, I'm showing you the outside of the building, and I'm hoping it's going to zoom in a bit. But what you see are 4 windows, and above those 4 windows is this Greek architecture, and these philosophers, if you will, or I would assume they're Greek figures. It really has that look. And the one all the way over to the left, hopefully we're going to zoom in on it. I had my little cam for this one. Don't worry, we shot it with other cameras. But again, we have a skull on one side and an owl on another. It's just very, very interesting stuff. And, Walter Cronkite has been in the news, and we've been talking. Just look at some of the heavy hitters that are in this annal. Let's go over to this side here, guys. I don't know how much we have to zoom out, but right here, this is Walter Cronkite at the orchestra concert speaking. Right there is Richard Nixon and Art Linkletter. There they are.